Week 2 of the Winter Series for the Maritime iRacing League comes to the legend itself. Only available in the sim world anymore. Irwindale Speedway, the inside loop, the inside loop, 1/3 of a mile, will test each of these drivers' abilities for the next 200 laps. And for the Maritime iRacing League drivers, it will be a challenge of endurance, a challenge of constitution, and a challenge of strength as the Maritime iRacing League comes back for the Racing for Chelsey 200 presented by the Weekly Press, live on LSRTV. Good evening, race fans. Joe Cortez, Evan Pisoko in the booth. Evan, get ready for a dogfight. There's not a whole lot of room to go battle back and forth, and what little room there is, these guys are going to have to fight it out on this 1/3 of a mile track for the next 200 miles.
Yeah, you touch on that. 200 laps rather on the board. The track only 1/3 of a mile in length. Irwindale Speedway, always a track that rings a bell, but the inner loop is this time for the Maritime iRacing League. You mentioned here with the Winter Series 2014.1. They could call it the opening campaign for 2014, and it's our second race out, so we're looking forward to it. An interesting track for sure, and one that can definitely brew some contact.
Last week, it was Ricky Arbeau walking away with the big win after starting on the pole. Jake Goodwin was behind him. Brad Eddy, Ronnie McKay, your fall 2013 was season winner, finished fourth, and Kevin Savory rounded up the top 5 in what was a night littered by yellows, and a night that saw a lot of drivers tempers flare, a lot of drivers working hard to get up and at the track. And so if last week was any indication of what we're going to see, tonight should be an incredibly contentious race as they start qualifying from the outside of the track, coming in to the 3rd mile, little tiny oval on the inside of Irwindale Speedway.
You're definitely kind of there in the infield, also a figure 8 configuration of this track, and then obviously the main circuit. Pit Road, you could call it, is located in turns 1 and 2 of the larger circuit here at the Irwindale Speedway. You talk about this race going to be a good one. The Sportsman Series was here on Monday night for 125 laps, so just over half the distance of this one. It was Sean Pierce and a 21 takey to win. Craig McDonald and Stephen Arsenal, those guys were the top 3 in the Sportsman Series, and Patrick Healy and Kyle Gaiman also getting an opportunity to come into tonight's race for finishing in the top 5 in that race Monday night.
Now, tonight's race is being dedicated to Chelsey Livingstone Rector, a 12-year-old girl from Braintree, Nova Scotia, who suffers from Lyme disease. She has to see a specialist in New York for treatment of her disease, which makes it very hard for the family to contribute, and makes it certainly a hardship on the family. Drivers like Patrick Healy and others in the Maritimes have been raising money for her and the family all season. And it's really just a great cause, and it goes to the heart of the racers and the heart of guys on the track. These guys, they're more than willing to give up and give for somebody else, especially with a great cause. And with Chelsey's situation, I know every dollar counts and every dollar helps that family out.
Yeah, for sure. And many of the drivers have been able to see her. She's local, she shows up to the races that these guys do. Again, that's something really unique about this MIRL division, is some of these guys are racing with each other in real life in the maritime region of that Canadian East Coast side. So a great cause for sure.
And while we have a moment, let's go ahead and talk to the driver in that number 5 machine, Pat Healy, one of the drivers raising money for the Racing for Chelsey campaign. Patrick, tonight's race has to be very, very near and dear to your heart and everything that you guys do all season.
Yeah, it definitely is. I'm happy to see the MIRL do this Racing for Chelsey 200 race in support of Chelsey Livingston of Pictou.
Now, how did you become involved with Chelsey? How did you become involved with her cause?
I met her last summer at a car show in Lance, Nova Scotia, where Darren Wallage, a sportsman driver, was showing his car, and his hood had Chelsey on it. And I'm a local reporter, so I did a story on the hood and what Darren was doing to try and promote the cause. And it just struck me that a young girl like Chelsey shouldn't be going through what she is. So, and there's no treatment in Canada, so she has to go to New York for it. So it costs money, so I'm raising money for her.
And so far, tell us a little about the campaign, how it all got started, and how much have you been able to raise for Chelsey so far?
So far, I've raised about $200, and I got it started. I talked to Go Tire HRM. They're a company based in Fall River, and I just talked to them. They're on my cars, different cars that I race on iRacing, and they were all for it. And now they've hit their budget cap, which all small companies have. But I've got two other sponsors on board who are, willing to do the same thing to help out the cause.
Now, if people want to help out with the cause or find out more information, where can they go and who can they talk to help out with the Racing for Chelsey campaign?
There is a Facebook page called Helping Chelsey About Lyme Disease. I think that's right. But if anybody really wants more information, they can contact me through the MIRL Facebook page, or I'm on Twitter at Patrice the Ace, and I'll try to help them out.
Real quick, Pat, let's talk about your car driving the number 5 tonight. How's it running here at Irwindale? And more importantly, where are we going to see you finish tonight?
I did qualify for the race tonight, but I am not racing the Super Series this year. Select tracks I will, but this one tonight I'm not. I finished 4th in the Sportsman race on Monday, which would have advanced me to this, but I am not in the race tonight.
Pat Healy not racing tonight, but still raising money with the Racing for Chelsey 200 presented by the Weekly Press. Pat, stick around. I'm sure we'll be talking to you later in the race and getting a little bit of expert opinion on you about what we're seeing on the track.
Sure will.
That's Pat Healy, one of the Sportsman drivers and part of the Racing for Chelsey 200. Racing for Chelsey 200 presented by the Weekly Press. Drivers meeting going on right now. Let's go ahead and take a moment to stop down for the Canadian National Anthem. The Canadian National Anthem here at Irwindale Speedway as we get ready to go green flag racing. 200 laps around the third of a mile bull ring. Evan, what are we going to see tonight aside from bumping, banging, and a lot of flare tempers?
I think it's going to be exactly that. Again, 200 laps. Laps only taken about 14.2 seconds is the pole sitter Brad Eddy's time, and qualifying obviously going to get a little bit longer as the night progresses, but really there's a lot of laps on the board. Maybe it's not going to take a lot, but it's going to take a lot of concentration. The way you take these straightaways, you're almost curving it the entire time, so it's just going to be about, maintaining focus, hitting your marks, and checking that rear view mirror to make sure that you know who's around you, and keeping that car clean until you get to those maybe final 50 laps.
Let's go ahead and take you down tonight's starting lineup on the pole with Chelsey on his hood. It's driver of the 48 machine, Jake Goodwin, turning in a time of 14.363 seconds. On the outside of him, Brad Eddy in the 72 machine starts second.
Row number 2, the third starting position, going to belong to the 15 machine of Mike Alexander. Ricky Arbeau, last week's winner, in the 61, starting fourth.
Kevin Walker will start on the inside of row number 3 in the 35 machine. Outside of him, Stephen Matthews in the 98 starts sixth.
Arnold McKay in the 03 starting 7th and 8th place, the 44 of Sean Pierce.
Regulars Travis Roma and Scott Negus, the 38 and 93 respectively, will finish row number 5 and complete your top 10.
Mike Rhino, Keith Mack starting 11th and 12th.
Nathan Doherty in the 6th machine will start 13th. On the outside of him, the 24 of Mark Williams starts the outside of row number 7.
Carter Wilson into 27th, starting 15th and 16th. The 05 of Todd Cousins.
Stefan Arsenal in the 17 or the 52 machine starts 17th. Doug Hubley in the 33, 18th.
George White in the 072, starting 19th and 20th. The 00 of Martin Landry.
Sean Waterfield, the last one to take time on this field, tearing a time of 14.918 seconds. Jeff Gilmore, Tim Terry electing not to take time on this field. They will round out your field of 23 tonight. 17 locked-in drivers, plus 5 entries from the Sportsman Series, all getting ready to do business here at Irwindale. They cross the line. One more parade lap to go, and we should be in the business of green flag racing around this bull ring. Pat Healy, I know you're not racing tonight. If you were, how contentious would the racing be?
I think it's going to be really close. It was on Monday night for the Sportsmen, so I think it's going to be really close and really intense racing here.
Should be some very intense racing as you see the 72 and 48 almost make contact coming off the track. Green flag flies, pace car barely gets out of the way, and we have started here at Irwindale Speedway. 48 of Jake Goodwin gets a jump. Brad Eddy in the 72, he will be second. Ricky Arbeau not wasting any time. He jumps from 4th to 3rd, but he could have the position taken away from him as a 15 and 61 still do battle side by side. 61 running that very wide line, and they're going to continue to drag race side by side to the stripe, completing almost 3 laps.
Yeah, the 61 of Arbeau tried to make the move on the outside, so Mike Alexander in the 15 machine is trying to hang on to that position. Alexander started in 3rd, and it was Arbeau trying to pick up that number 3 spot for him, but he can't get it quite right now, and looks like the 15 of Mike Alexander starting to get around the 61 and hold off, so Stephen Matthews in the 98, almost with a moment there through 3 and 4, is going to allow the 61 of Ricky Arbeau to get back in line, so unable to pick up that number 3 spot, but can squeak back in line, and Arbeau remains P4.
Arbeau remains P4. Looks like he's happy to be P4. Stephen Matthews rounding out your top 5. Trouble on track.
The 44 machine of Sean Pierce is around the 05, gets a piece of it, and an early caution flag here at the Irwindale Speedway. If we can get that replay up, it looks like that was the 44 of Sean Pierce. Just take a look, making some contact with a 38 Travis Roma on the inside, maybe pushed up, maybe the 44 came down a little bit. Mutual contact, we'll say, he sent that 44 around, and everybody went scrambling, and the 05 just ran out of room and kind of got collected in that, so Todd Cousins, an innocent victim, going to pick up damage in that as well, and under the first caution flag of the night.
Tough racing to begin the race. We already talked about it, earlier in the show. This is not a track with a whole lot of real estate on it. If you don't run that preferred line, you're going to get past in a hurry, and you're going to have a hard time making your way through the field. Also interesting of note, you'll notice that the pit road tonight is not on the infield of the racetrack. Instead, they've set up on the outside on the normal racing surface here at Irwindale. So that means if you go through turns 1 and 2, that's where your pit stall will be, and the problem therewith is it's a very, very long pit road, only 30 miles per hour in that group. So what does that mean? If you have to stop down to take tires, if you have to stop down to get damage repaired, you only have about 20 seconds to get back on track. Otherwise, you will go at least 1 lap down, and the inner circle at Irwindale not forgiving if you want to try to get laps back.
Definitely, for sure, and that's why you might see some drivers doing a little bit of a strategy, maybe come down, get 2, come back around the next time, get the final 2, and maybe top it off on fuel. I know that, Joe, we were talking to Tim Terry before the race. He says he's not planning on taking any fuel. He's got that 75 machine packed with enough to make it around these 200 laps, so the field's doubling up at the front. The 48 machine of Jake Goodwin, current race leader, as the lights are off on a Ford First Racing Mustang. Pace car at the 2, so we're going to be looking for the green flag at this time around to take lap number 10.
The 72 of Goodwin, the 48 of Goodwin, 72 of Brad Eddy will restart this field at the top of the pole, but lots of good drivers still behind them. Ricky Arbeau in the mix, Ronnie McKay in the mix as the pace car gets the heck out of the way. Green flag flies, and we're back to racing almost 3 wide at the very top of the pole. The 61 of Arbeau still trying that outside line, now fighting with the 98 of Stephen Matthews. 2 by 2 they go. The 35 of Kevin Walker also trying that outside line. Top 3 not going anywhere. They stay single file. 98 61 almost make contact through the turns, and pace car will come out one more time. More trouble on the track.
Yeah, definitely a couple cars turned around, and it looks like it's the 23 machine of Sean Waterfield. He is sent around, and looks like on the replay he had the 75 machine of Tim Terry to his outside, and 75 was well up, giving the 23 the room, and he kind of went down to that yellow line, which can get real loose. And by the way, the officials are going to kind of treat that yellow line on the inside as, say, the double yellow line at Talladega or Daytona, where if you keep going down there, they're going to hit you with a black flag. And the 23 was just kind of riding it with the left side, and it just pushed up the racetrack. He got into Tim Terry. 75 went around the 23, kind of innocently spun into that infield concrete area, and the 75 of Tim Terry spun that back around, but did pick up some minor rear end damage, and under the second caution flag of the evening.
Pat Healy, I'm going to turn to your expertise here real quick. It looks like this is just a product of hard racing and a product of the track. How treacherous is this Irwindale Speedway, especially if you're running too wide?
I found that I had to race on the lower line. The high line doesn't work for me. It didn't. And it is treacherous. Like one little touch of that line at the yellow line, and it could set your car loose, and the guy on the outside, if there is, he's got nowhere to go, and he's just going to be an innocent bystander.
Isn't bystanding definitely the hardest part about racing here? Pat, let me ask you this. You know, if you do have an incident happen in front of you, if you do have something that takes place, how much reaction time do you have to figure out how you're going to get through it? Or is this one of those tracks where if you're in it despite what your best ideas?
Yeah, this is a track where if something happens in front of you, there's not really a whole lot of reaction time, and you're just praying for good luck.
Sometimes the hope and prayer is exactly what's needed, and that's certainly what they're raising a little bit of money for tonight. Hope and prayer for Chelsey at the Racing for Chelsea 200, presented by the Weekly Press. Jake Goodwin, Brock Eddy still in first and second. Mike Alexander, Stephen Matthews third and fourth. Ricky Arbeau started fourth. He's going to drop down to position number 5 as they double him up. Pace car lights are off. One more to go, Evan, before we're back to the business of doing business here at Irwindale.
It definitely is kind of interesting to see that pace car's got to go and make a right-hand turn up to the front straightaway. So the green flag actually being thrown before the pace car gets off. So if you see these guys kind of looks like they're jumping it on the pace car, not really, because that start-finish line is not too far to turn number 4, and they're going to double up, and it's going to be the 40 to Goodwin, going to take us to the green at a 4.
Goodwin sees the green flag, drops the hammer. Pace car almost trying to get in front of him, but pace car's going to pull off. So Jake Goodwin now up front behind him. The 15 of Mike Alexander's made a big move, and then the 72 of Brad Eddy. Now Ricky Arbeau's back on that low side. Arbeau using that low side to his advantage, almost getting on the apron to help push that car around. 72-61 now doing battle on the inside. Ooh, the 72 almost got to the 15. The 61 and 72 almost made contact. Very treacherous driving at the top.
Yeah, Brad Eddy in the 72 there on the outside lane restarted in second, and he almost got caught sleeping at the 98 of Stephen Matthews. Gave him a couple bumps and gave him another one that last time around the circuit, so the 72's got a little bit of rear end damage. Nothing that's really going to affect the race car, but the 98 of Matthews just kind of sending him a message and letting him know, hey, I'm here, and might be faster than you, as these guys up at the front of the field start the single file out. First side-by-side battle is going to be for position number 12 to 27 of Carter Wilson is on the outside of Scott Negus. Negus in the 93 machine is trying to make that pass down low, and coming out of 4, he's going to have about a car length advantage.
The 38 of Travis Roma, it's a car I'm keeping an eye on right now. He's currently sitting position number 8. 3 laps ago, almost making contact with a 35 of Kevin Walker and almost causing another incident out here on the field. The 38 kind of dirt tracking it through those turns. You know, you see him just edging the back end out just a little bit as he drives it through the turns. Travis Roma, I think, is driving it a little hard out there. Keith Mack in the 22 wants nothing to do with it. He's going to stay back and just let the 38 figure out where he wants to go. Behind them, 34, Mike Rhino, Nathan Doherty exchange positions. Mike Rhino will break into the top 10 for the first time tonight. And now here comes the 22 of Keith Mack. Finds the opening, gets around the 38 of Travis Roma.
The side-by-side battle back of the pack is just going to fall apart as the 27 slides back in line. So Wilson back to 13th and Scott Negus up to 12th. And Wilson pulled back in line and got right up on the back bumper of the 93 machine before they continued off in the corner. So a lot of position swapping. You touched on Mike Rhino in the 34, making his first appearance in the top 10 in the number 34 machine. Started 11th, so picked up that spot. Meanwhile, side by side, up inside the top 5, it's the 61 of Ricky Arbeau, who's now on the outside lane, and the 98 of Stephen Matthews trying to get some work done on that inside at a 2.
The 72 of Brad Eddy gets back to position number 3, and now he's trying to hunt on the back bumper of Mike Alexander. Alexander not willing to give it up just yet. And then there's Ricky Arbeau. Looks like his car's just a little tight through this run. He's having a hard time trying to control it through those turns. And Arbeau now going to put back to position number 5, still within the top 5, but was just outside of striking distance. The 72, though, he's still within striking distance. Almost knows getting under the 15 of Mike Alexander. You see it again. Try it one more time. The 15 is going to have to wiggle. The 72 has the door open. Now it's a drag race side by side. They continue the run, and the 72 machine, that's Brad Eddy. He's got the advantage on the low side.
He's got the inside lane there in the 72 machine. We haven't seen anybody be able to get that top lane to work yet tonight, so the inside is the place to be. The 72 is going to get around and clear the 15 of Mike Alexander, and the 98 of Stephen Matthews is now on the inside. So you take a look at Mike Alexander in the 15 machine. He can stand to lose a lot of spots here if he can't get back in line. The 98 of Matthews has since cleared him, and now we see the 61 of Ricky Arbeau to the inside, trying to pick up that spot as well. So they're side by side for 4th. Arbeau with the advantage through and off the corner is going to clear the 15 and regain P4.
Through the field, everyone else single file right now. The 27 of the 27 machine of Carter Wilson, the parts for trucks, the machine got under fire from the 52 is Stefan Arsenault. Arsenault, though, running that very wide line that we've seen a lot of drivers use here tonight. Martin Landry in the 00 almost get passed by Todd Cousins in the 05, but now here comes the 44. Sean Pierce, he was a lap down just a few moments ago, got the lucky dog, and now he's back battling for position. The 44 of Pierce, 05 of Todd Cousins, almost making contact through the turn, but it's going to be the 44 machine of Sean Pierce, put him in just outside the top 15, and he is hungry like the wolf. Here comes the 24 machine. That belongs to Mark Williams. He's going to come along for the ride as well.
Yeah, the 24 to Williams on the inside lane is going to get it done, coming up off of turn number 2 and get that spot as well. As side-by-side battle, a couple cars in front of him. The 27 to Carter Wilson finds himself on the outside after Martin Landry in the 00 has made his way to the inside and is going to pick up that position. So Landry going to move up into position number 14, and the 44 is going to throw it in there, and that's Sean Pierce. After getting in some trouble earlier in the going here, is trying to move back up, and he pounced on that inside opening, not allowing Wilson to get back down in line, and the 44 with the advantage up a turn number 2. The 27 of Wilson's going to go way wide and now pull back down in line and relinquish that position as well. So Carter Wilson in the 27 going to go back to 16.
Meanwhile, Mike Alexander in the 15 machine. He was running second after getting caught on the outside. He's going to drop all the way to position number 5. Ricky Arbeau 4th, Stephen Matthews 3rd. Jake Goodwin first, still remains in first. Brad Eddy second, and his drivers continue to run that low side. They continue to run as hard as they can on that low line. If you stay in that low line, that appears to be the preferred groove out here. The straightaways are for anybody's taking. That's where you see the mistakes being made. That's where you see the lead up being made. But the turns, if you're not in that low line, you're not going to be able to pass.
Yeah, definitely, for sure. And with the way you arc those straightaways, you don't really straighten it out and then really work your way back into the corner. If you look from above, it's really just a big curve, that racing groove there on those straightaways, and they're so short that you're pretty much turning the entire time. And right there on the front straightaway and the back straightaway is where you can get to the inside if you don't force a guy up, maybe on corner entry or in the middle of the corner by giving him a bump. If you just stick your nose there in that straightaway, it's not going to be the preferred lane, but you're going to get yourself that position going into the corner. As long as you can hold it down and maintain that, you'll eventually get around the guy. As contact for race lead 72 of Brad Eddy into the back bumper of race leader 40 to Goodwin.
Goodwin still able to get out front and get the boost as a result of that. Meanwhile, back in the mix, last season's champion, the 03 of Ronnie McKay, he's having a hard time trying to figure out what he needs to do and how he needs to figure it out. He just dropped 2 positions to Keith Mack and Mike Rhino in the 22 and 34 machine, respectively. Now the 22 machine is going to go wide. 22 almost loses it. through turns 3 and 4, able to save it, but not before Ronnie McKay gets back on the hammer. And now Ron McKay side by side with the Zigzag Man himself, battling for position. Ronnie McKay back in position number 8. But can he hold on to it? Keith Mack needs a little bit of help, and he needs to get back around that 0-3 machine to stay safely within the top 10. Now he uses the chrome horn on the 0-3. No love lost between the 0-3 and the 22.
Yeah, Keith Mack going right back to the inside. Mack was trying to get back down in line when that machine kind of pulled down and tried to hang off that position. That was the 0-3 of Ronnie McKay. Trying to knock sideways out of 2 was Ronnie McKay in the number 0-3 machine. He's sitting 9th right now. Again, 22 of Keith Mack just kind of got back in line, gave him a little bit of a bump, and got back to the inside lane and is right back up at 8th position after qualifying in 12th. So 22 machine has been doing his fair share of passing to this point in the race. Battle really going on for second. The 98 of Stephen Matthews, remember, he got into the back of the 72 machine on the first restart of this race and could have gave that 72 that back end damage that he had. 6 is trouble.
Trouble in the track as the 6 machine of Nathan Doherty gets the bump going through the turns from the 93 machine. I don't think the yellow flag came out as a result of that. Nathan Doherty just goes into the concrete infield, and we continue to race.
Yeah, no caution flag is out. He went down there to the inside. Infield, you could call it, all paved and not in a racing groove, so no caution thrown by the iRacing service. And Nathan Doherty in the 6 machine is going to lose a lap now as he has to stay high and let all of these lead lap cars go around and try not to get in their way. Tough break after contact in the corners, and these cars are such on the edge there, especially if you're down there on that yellow line and on the bottom of this racetrack, that just the slightest bit of contact. I mean, he barely got nicked in that left rib, and it just sent him right around. He did a good job of trying to hang on to it, but that thing spun down in there into the infield.
Already a quarter of the way through, and Jake Goodwin has led all of them, scoring lap 53 right now. Jake Goodwin cannot be stopped in the Racing for Chelsea 200, presented by the Weekly Press. Brad Eddy, Stephen Matthews, Ricky Arbeau, Mike Alexander, your top 5. Nathan Doherty, the only car on the track, 1 lap down. Sean Waterfield pulled it behind the wall, and he is done for this evening. He'll be officially scored in 23rd. Jake Goodwin's been incredibly strong all night here. He continues to run up front. Jake Goodwin running hard. Brad Eddy nowhere to be found right now, even though he's 3 car lengths behind him. At a short track like this, that might as well be an eternity.
You're definitely taking a look. We're going to go on board with race leader, the 48 of Jake Goodwin, now with a 6/10 of a second lead over the second place machine, the 72 of Brad Eddy. It wasn't too long ago that Eddy was knocking on that doorstep, literally on the back bumper of the 48 of Goodwin, and has since kind of dropped off a little bit, and they're going to run identical laps. Actually, no, Goodwin, when the scoring updates, is going to pick up another 1/10 of a second. So Brad Eddy in the 72 struggling here as the laps continue to tick off, working 57 as Goodwin comes out of 4 to take lap number 58 of 200. So once you get the green flag going, Joe, the laps really starting to tick off here. These guys running real quick. Jake Goodwin's last lap as your race leader was a 15.180.
Pat Healing, to throw it to you real quick. Now that you've seen these guys start to figure it out, start to calm down, you got heat in the tires, these guys kind of get in a racing trance out there. How hard is it to pass? How hard is it to try to get around another driver once you get in one of these good long green flag runs?
No one's willing to give an inch, and these top 5 to 10 cars, they're not gonna just let anybody by. It seems like all these top guys are in a rhythm, and they've got their mind on a mission. Whoa, there's a car.
Caution flag gonna fly for trouble on the racetrack, and
Right
we're
in
gonna
front of the
slow them
leaders.
back down and group them back up as there's a car sideways, and that is the 072 machine of George Wright up against that outside wall in 1 and 2. He's gonna take the hook back to the garage, and if we can get that replay up, something happened, and that machine just did not turn going into turn number 1.
You look at it right there, and it just, honest to God, did not turn, refused to go down. I don't know if he had a tire go out, if the steering column went out, but the 072 of George White hit the wall hard, and I'm sure the officials are going to want to investigate that one just a little bit to see what exactly went wrong with the 072 machine. As you look on board, he just turned right into the wall in what can only be described as a reverse Clint Boyer.
into the outside wall in turn one. A very interesting incident, to say the least, going into the corner. You know, sometimes these guys with iRacing being on, you know, the PC, and you can have some computer trouble, your screen could blink out, or there's so many different factors, but it doesn't appear that that was the case. I mean, I'm not giving an expert opinion, but it looks like just kind of going into the corner, just kind of stopped turning left and kind of went head on for that Lucas Oil sign there in the turn one wall.
Everybody coming down the attention of their pit crew that time by, and it will be the number 61 of Ricky Arbeau getting off first, but despite that, Arbeau not the leader on the track. Right now, the lead being credited to the 52 of Stefan Arsenault right now, as he did not come down to the attention of his crew. Now he's going to come down to his crew after picking up the bonus point for leading a race. The other driver that stayed out during that cycle was the 57 of Jeff Gilmore. Gilmore now back on pit road as well. So it will be the 61 of Ricky Arbeau with the first lead, with the not officially the first lead change tonight, officially the fourth technical lead change of the night, but in all practicality, it'll be Ricky Arbeau, for the first lead change of the night. Nathan Doherty, Mike Alexander, Kevin Walker, and Mike Rhino, your top five. Looking through the top 10, it's going to be Travis Roma, Ronnie McKay, Stefan Arsenault, Jeff Gilmore. Check that. It'll be Stefan Arsenault, Brad Eddy, Mark Williams, and a lot of guys really being affected heavy by that cycle of pit stops. Only 13 drivers now on the lead lap. The last one being Carter Wilson, Jeff Gilmore, Doug Hubhley, Steve Matthews, Jake Goodwin, all crew being credited as one lap down right now.
Yeah, for the pace speed that they have to maintain, they're under the pit road. They're up in turns 1 and 2, and the matter of the fact that these guys are running 27-second pace laps, you don't have any time almost to get 2 tires, and you can see the direct result of that there, where now there's only 13 cars being scored on the lead lap at this point. So Jake Goodwin in the 48 currently being shown 1 lap down. He's making his way around a couple of guys, maybe trying to get that lap back. But Tim Terry's down a lap. Keith Mack is down a lap. A lot of fast guys now not being shown on the lead lap. I mean, Goodwin in the 48's gone from P1 to 18th, as it shows right now. The race officials continuing to delay the yellow flag, try to get things sorted out. So pit stops are kind of chaotic at this track.
While the officials take the moment to sort this out and figure out what they need to do to get everybody cycled back through, let's go ahead and take our first commercial break of the evening. Ricky Arbeau back in control of the field. Will he be able to hold on? Stay tuned. Live coverage of the Racing for Chelsea 200 presented by the Weekly Press continues after this, live on LSRTV. More trouble on the track here at Irwindale Speedway. The 34 machine of Mike Rhino. You see him lose it there right at the apex of turn 2. He wiggles it real hard, forced to go way outside. And again, not enough real estate for the 34 of Mike Rhino and the 93 to share. So Rhino and Scott Negus in that 93 machine get into it. The 34 gets hard damage as a result, touching that Lucas Oil ad on the wall. And we are back under yellow flag racing here at Irwindale Speedway with the Maritime iRacing Leagues, racing for Christie or for Chelsey 200 presented by the Weekly Press.
I'm not sure if it wasn't enough real estate or if the 93 machine just was given a lot of room to the 72, because we've seen guys really, push each other down and try to squeeze them down there if you're on the outside lane to try to minimize the room that the guy on the inside lane has to work with. And 93 he would have been taking it wide if they were only 2 wide, and the 34 was out on the outside, and Mike Rhino getting pretty much turned into the turn 3 wall. So under the caution flag again.
Under the caution flag we go, and Pat Healy, it seems that right at this track, yellows breed yellows, and tonight's race no exception. Lots of drivers being struck by the curse of the yellow flag.
Yeah, caution, like they say, cautions breed cautions, and here we go, back to green.
Green flag racing once again. Ricky Arbeau back in front of the field. The 15 machine of Mike Alexander back in second. Now it's Kevin Walker, Travis Roma, Stefan Arsenault, the top 5. As the number 72, Brad Eddy. He's been strong all night. He continues to race on the outside, almost making contact with the 52 machine. And now behind him, the rewide racing that's around the 24, the 03, and the 44.
They're going to try to go through 1 and 2 and make it work. The 44 on the inside, they're going to check up behind them, and they're going to fan out 4 wide at a 2. The 34 is in the middle of that. The 22, the 48, the 00. Everybody is going to hang on for the time being and keep it pointed in the right direction. But that was a big scramble, and it all started up front. You mentioned with the 52 and the 72 machine going 2 wide.
34 machine gets stuck in the pits. That's Mike Rhino. We'll have to see if his night is done as a result of that scramble. Meanwhile, back on track, lots of crazy racing going on as they continue to jockey for position on the track. And for position number 3, they switch. Position number 4, they switch. Brad Eddy gets around the 52. Stefan Arsenault now in 5th. Brad Eddy in 4th. And back in front of them, they continue 1st, 2nd, 3rd. It's going to continue to be Ricky Arbeau up front, Mike Alexander 2nd, Kevin Walker 3rd. But Brad Eddy is on the prowl right now with time running out. He knows he needs to make some moves and make them in a hurry.
Yeah, definitely. He's running P4 right now. Started this race in 2nd, so he did a solid job of staying up front when those pit stops happen, as opposed to some of the guys that we saw, in contention for this thing of those opening 50 laps and then end up a lap down at this point in the race. So Brad Eddy in the 72 machine with a pretty consistent car. Again, running in 4th. You got to look at the guys in front of him. Kevin Walker. Walker started this race in 5th, so he's got a strong car. Mike Alexander in the 15th and 2nd. He qualified 2nd, and then Ricky Arbeau in P1 started in 4th position on the qualifying grid. So a lot of fast guys in front of him, but they'll count out that 72 of Brad Eddy. He's not afraid to use the front of that race car to let somebody know that he wants to get on by, and he's sitting P4. That's a fairly comfortable position, I would say, at this point, working lap number 84 of 200. So once we get to the halfway point and the laps start to wind down, as long as you don't lose track of Ricky Arbeau up there in front, that he's not, because this guy's pretty much bumper to bumper, maybe a half a car length in between them all. He's in pretty good stance right now.
Todd Cousins, the 05 machine, doing battle with the 03 of Ronnie McKay. McKay on his bumper, giving him a little tap here and there. The 05 will not relent to last season's champion. In fact, the 05 now has his eyes on the 38 machine as well. That 38 belonging to Travis Roma. Travis Roma's in the mix for the first time this evening as a result of all that shuffling that went down just a few laps ago. Ricky Arbeau remains in control of this field. Mike Alexander 2nd, and Brad Eddy now gets around the 35 of Kevin Walker. Score Brad Eddy in position number 3. He is on the prowl right now. He is a Wolverine, the Canadian Wolverine, dare I say, and he is just hunting his prey up in front of him.
Yeah, definitely. Ronald McKay in the 8th position in the 03 is not happy with the handling of his race car right now, and that thing is sideways all over the track. The rear end kicked out that last time through turn number 4, and he's still running, obviously, in 8th place, so inside of the top 10, but he is not pleased with the way the car is handling right now. And If that thing doesn't, start to tighten up a little bit, it's going to be a long race, but caution, trouble.
Trouble on the track, the 75 machine involved, the 22 of Keith Mack involved, and that starts right on the back straightaways. The 22, 75, and 00 all make contact, and that should bring out another yellow flag tonight. Keith Mack involved, the 00 Martin Landry, Hollywood, Tim Terry in the 75 involved, the 98 getting a piece of it, 98 machine belonging to Steve Matthews. He's going to get a shot of it as well, and somehow getting out unscathed is the 33 machine of Doug Ubley.
Yeah, that'll happen with the 75 machine of Tim Terry on the back bumper, the 48 of Goodwin, and that was coming out of turn number 2. And Tim had a little bit of a run in the 75 and got into the right rear, maybe the slightest bit on the 48 of Goodwin, so he went out the track, had to check up, and 22 and the 00 were door banging coming out of the corner, and then it looks like maybe the 00 of Landry got loose. Coming out of the corner, he had that wheel turned all the way to the left, so he got loose, wiggled, went up the racetrack a little bit, and caught that 22 machine, and evidently Tim Terry in the 75 on the outside gets turned around, and they all scatter, and under another yellow flag.
Pit road getting busy as 72 comes down on pit road. Your race leader, Ricky Arbeau, on pit road. The 03 of Ronnie McKay, the 52 of Stephen Arsenault, all down on pit road. And I'm going to ask our driving expert, Pat Healy, to join in here real quick. Pat, when you're down on pit road and you don't have a whole lot of time to make your adjustments, you barely have maybe 20 seconds to get on pit road, get off pit road, and get back out. How do you make that call? When do you make the call, one, to come down pit road, and number two, how do you make the call to what services you should be taking?
For the sportsman race on Monday night, I mean, it was only 125 laps, but I didn't take any fuel or gas. I didn't pit at all. But here, I would say 2 tires and no fuel. You should, from the start of the race, you should have enough fuel to make it. And I would say try to take 2 tires, but even that is cutting it close.
And when you take those 2 tires, is it inside, is it outside, or do you hope for a couple yellow flags so you can alternate throughout the night?
Yeah, I would say you would hope to alternate, like take 2 tires and then, take 2 right side, and then if you get a caution 3 or 4 laps later, then take the left side.
They are delaying the caution flag one more time to get everybody sorted out to where they need to be. Currently, only 10 drivers remain on the lead lap. Mike Alexander, Kevin Walker, row number 1. Travis Roma, Don Cousins in row number 2. Sean Bierce, Carter Wilson, Doug Ubley, Ricky Arbeau, Stephen Arsenault, and now Jake Goodwin back on the lead lap as it looks like they're going to try to go green this time. Nope. It's going to be one more parade lap before we go back to green flag racing. 10 cars on the lead lap. It looks like some of these guys need a little bit of help to get back on the lead lap once more. Guys like Tim Terry in 11th, Nathan Doherty, Steve Matthews, Brad Eddy, who was aggressive out there. He's now 14th, 1 lap down.
Just a couple.
Definitely. So some of these guys, having some trouble. The green flag is now back out. Now we see the 15 of Alexander up front with the 35 of Kevin Walker. Side by side, they're going to go on for 3rd place as Todd Cousins now finds the 38 of Roma on his inside.
I'll go back to Pat Healy to finish that thought. What were you talking to say there, Pat?
Just a couple laps before that caution, Tim Terry and Steve Matthews had a close encounter. Both of them saved it.
Now they're looking for a little bit of salvation themselves as Steve Matthews gets around Tim Terry for position number 11, but they need a whole circuit around to get back in front and get back a challenge for the lead. Up front through the field, the 61 got way, way high. It looks like he got a piece of the wall out there. That's Ricky Arbeau, and he's going to let a lot of traffic. He's going to drop out of the top 5. He will now be barely holding on to the top 10 lap traffic around him. So he's got a little bit of a cushion, but not enough to be comfortable. Meanwhile, behind him, the 48 machine, that's Jake Goodwin. He's back on the lead lap, and he is digging as hard as he can. It'll be officially halfway home once we cross the start-finish line.
Yeah, this is when you really need to keep tabs on who is on the lead lap and who's where and in what position, because with all these laps cars mixed in with these guys, it's real easy to kind of, lose track of where you are on the racetrack, who you really need to battle against. And for these lap cars too, it really makes it hard on them to try to get out of the way and let these lead lap guys go by, because they're kind of boxed in. So here's really where you need to mind your P's and Q's and make sure you know where you're going. Mike Alexander, the only one in a comfortable spot right now, sitting P1 at a 15 machine, clear track and ahead of him for the time being.
Mike Alexander, Kevin Walker, Sean Pierce, Travis Roma, Carter Wilson, your top 5. Todd Cousins, Steve Arsenault, Ricky Arbeau, Jake Goodwin, and Doug Hubbley rounding out your top 10. Your top 10 only spread out by about 5 seconds on this field, and that spread is growing even tighter as they continue to run lap after lap. Mike Alexander seems to be in control of this field, and it looks like everybody thinking twice before they make an aggressive move. Everybody but the 98 machine of Steven Matthews. He's a lap down, but he's trying to get his lap back the hard way.
You definitely got to get it done the old way, and that is to get around these guys. Again, only 10 cars remain on the lead lap at this point in the race as we have passed the halfway point as race leader Mike Alexander currently running under the green flag at lap 106 of 200. So on the downhill side of things, just over a half hour into this thing, we're already halfway through. And Joe, we've seen our fair share of the caution flags, and with every caution it's only going to get more wild with more lap cars getting mixed into this thing. So just another thing to keep an eye on. The 40, the Goodwin you mentioned, he's been running up front at the beginning half of this race, lost his lap. He's now back on the lead lap. He's running in 9th position, trying to pick up a couple spots. Got a lap car before he can get to the 52 of Stefan Arsenault, who's running in front of him in 8th.
Mike Alexander now battle between the 44 and 35 brewing. That 44 machine belongs to Sean Pierce. The 35 and Kevin Walker on the outside of him. The 44 has the advantage out there. That 44 machine digs hard, and he will get position number 2 over the 35 of Kevin Walker. Now Travis Roma is back in the mix, and he wants a piece of the action.
He's taking a look at these guys up in front of him and his number 38 machine. He is on the outside lane of, I do believe that is the 98 on the inside. That's Steven Matthews. Steven Matthews is the first car 1 lap down. However, Roma's going to go a little bit wide. 72 machine's going to go on by. That's another lap machine of Brad Eddy. So again, this is really where you need to keep an eye on who's on the lead lap. 38, if he could think that the 72's been on the lead lap all race, that he might race him a little bit hard. Meanwhile, Brad Eddy a lap down, maybe with fresher tires, which is why he lost that lap in the very confusing and chaotic pit road under the yellow flag. So just got to keep tabs really on where everybody is, and if you've got a spotter in your ear, he's going to be working overtime at this point in the race.
Mike Alexander, Sean Pierce still 1 and 2, and now the 15 machine is getting the huge jump all over this field. The 44 machine still not a car length and a half behind, making that 2 car lengths behind that 15 machine. So Mike Alexander, Sean Pierce trying to run away with it as time runs out here at Irwindale Speedway. Steve Matthews in the 98 machine. He's still a lap down. He doesn't care, though. He's going to try to get his lap back, and joining him is Brad Eddy. Those 2 drivers, they are on a mission right now. They want to be in front of the leader when the yellow flag comes out again, so they don't have to worry about getting the Lucky Dog Award. They'll already have it.
Yeah, that could definitely make things a lot easier for them for sure if they could get around that way. And then you mentioned when a caution flag would fly, because the way the race has gone so far, we've seen our fair share of green flag laps, but the way that everyone's kind of fanned it out and all over the place, you can't really imagine that it's going to go caution free until the checkered flag flies. Obviously possible, but just with the way the racing has been, not likely. And you take a look at the 44 of Sean Pierce. He's sitting in second. He has 2 lap cars coming up fast behind him, the 72 and the 98. If Sean Pierce lets them on by, he might lose tabs with the 15 of Alexander. However, the 98 is now on his inside, so Steven Matthews trying to get around the 44. Once he does so, all he's going to do is get around Mike Alexander, and then he will assume the first car, or the last car rather, on the lead lap if he races his way back onto the lead lap by passing race leader P1. That's the 15 of Alexander. 72 is going to go around as well. So now the 44 of Sean Pierce finds 2 lap traffic cars between him and Alexander up front.
And you can imagine how hard it is for the 72 machine to be fighting just to get back on the lead lap. Remember, this is a car that was competing for the lead not even 10 minutes ago. Now already a lap down. Those 2 drivers, they are doing everything they can to get back in front of the 15 and get back on the lead lap. But still, they've got a huge mountain to climb if they want to get back to the lead of this race. 98 72 getting time on the 15 every time by. If they don't make contact, the 72 and 98 side by side there, they made contact going into turns 3 and 4, and going to 1 and 2, they almost do it again. Meanwhile, back behind them, a battle brewing. It's a 44 of Sean Pierce letting by the 03 of Ronnie McKay, also 1 lap down, so we could see a jailbreak up front very quickly.
That's what it's looking like. So obviously those guys lost their lap because they picked up some tires as opposed to what these leaders do. And you can see them running faster at this point. The 72 machine, first car 1 lap down. Brad Eddy with the 98 of Stephen Matthews in tow are now on the back bumper of Mike Alexander up front. So you couldn't have worded it better. A jailbreak almost to the making here up at the front of the field, as Alexander is not going to be able to hold off that 72 of Eddy for much longer.
Ricky Arbeau now on the rear bumper of the 44 machine is Sean Pierce. He's waiting for Sean Pierce to make a mistake. Sean Pierce gets nervous, almost turns it off of turns 1 and 2, opening the door for Ricky Arbeau. He wants that position. He wants to get back in the top 3 and hopefully walk away the podium position. If he can do it at any time now, he might be able to get that position back and be in position number 3. 61 has the nose under 44. Now it's only a matter of time. The low line, the preferred line. Ricky Arbeau has it on paper. He completes the pass at the line.
And definitely, so he is now back onto the lead lap. The 03 machine of Ronnie McKay in now 13th place got around Mike Alexander. So Alexander again kind of getting overrun by those guys as a 72 went around him as well. That was Eddie 98 Matthews over. Caution flag and a flag, trouble on the racetrack. So those guys got around him just in time.
Caution is out, and we are looking for the cause of it as we speak. To be honest with you, I didn't see a car go around at all, not smoke, nothing, Evan. That's kind of interesting.
Something happened because I heard a couple drivers over the game chatter. So I'm trying to take a look to see what happened. Something happened because we heard some guys talking. But the question is what happened. It looks like somebody had some trouble in turn number 4, and it may have been a self-spin through 3 and 4. Not too sure. A red machine through 3 and 4. 93 machine, I'm hearing.
93 machine of Scott Negus did get him around by himself on turns 3 and 4. Progressing by the 34 of Mike Rhino. Looks like Jeff Gilmore might have got a piece of that as well in the 57 machine. 57 machine to go ahead and pull it in off out of the garage behind the wall, and it'll be his night. Let's go ahead and watch what happened there. Just bring out this yellow flag to begin with. Number 93 is Scott Negus. He goes into the turn just way too hard on that outside line. Forced to check it up, and when he checks it up, that front side just grabs his car and puts him straight into the wall. So the 93 machine heavy front end damage, and that will bring out the caution flag for the evening. Scott Negus is also going to pull it behind the garage wall. He is done for the night after that major damage. And you said it right there, Evan. Those guys that were battling to get back on the lead lap, they couldn't have done it any sooner, as now they're going to be back in contention for this win.
They would have liked to get around him sooner, but they didn't really give themselves much of a window for error. They got around him, and then it was maybe a circuit and a half before that caution flag flew. So good luck for them. But interesting enough, pit stops again under this yellow flag is going to throw another shuffle, and because of the combination of the strange pit road speed, pace speed, and the fact that cautions don't last much more than 30 seconds here, the officials are going to delay that yellow flag, or rather delay the green flag and keep us under the yellow for a couple more laps so that everybody can get sorted out and find out where they belong. However, right now, only 8 cars are being shown on the lead lap.
Pat Healy, at this point, the sportsman race would have been done. Let me ask you this. At the end of the sportsman race, how was your late model running? And how is, and based on that, how is it going to affect these drivers out here?
It was running okay. I was losing time to the cars ahead of me, but I think that's because of the new tires, right? So it's going to be tough here, but I think fresh tires, this could be it. This could be the right time, last 70 laps.
Let me ask you this: how vital is our tires going to be at the end of this race?
I think they're going to be key especially for these lap down cars that just pitted for new tires. It's going to be interesting. I think they're really going to be vital to whoever picks up the checkered flag.
Pace car should be off this time around. We should be back to green flag racing unless the administrators extend this caution any further, which I don't see happening. Pace car will get off. Yep, pace car is going to make its way off the racing service. And we're back to green flag racing. Stefan Arsenal, your leader. Now the 48 of Jake Goodwin back in the mix. The 61 of Ricky Arbeau back in the mix. It looks like we got some trouble already in the system.
Everybody trying to get things sorted out. Some 3 wide with Tim Terry in the mix. The 38 of Travis Roma is there as well. One car is going to look like he's going to point it towards the pit lane. The 24 machine we're hearing had some trouble. That's Mark Williams. He's running 1 lap down. He got spun in 1 and 2 after coming across the nose of the 00 machine. Taking a look at the replay there. Interesting enough, I don't believe the caution flag was thrown. So they're going to stay green.
24 machine on Mark Williams got spun after they went 3 wide behind him with a 15.44 and 72. So Mark Williams getting some heavy damage. Green flag staying out as a result, and we're going to continue green flag racing out there. Pace car not coming off pit road at this point. Ricky Arbeau continues to lead. Kevin Walker, Jake Goodwin, Stefan Arsenal, Travis Roma, your top 5.
When Mark
continuing to go. Go ahead.
When Mark Williams spun, the number 27 of Carter Wilson also spun down on the inside of the track.
Now we're hearing the 15 around as well, so good catch there. Carter Wilson with some trouble. He's at the tail end of the lead lap. Now the 6 of Nathan Doherty's around. He was driving inside of the top 5. He's going to self-spin coming at a turn number 4. So these cars are just everywhere but the right direction at this point in the race.
The 6 will go 1 lap down as Ricky Arbeau and company get around him. So Ricky Arbeau trying to walk away with his 2nd consecutive win here in the Maritime iRacing League. Jake Goodwin now in position number 2. Kevin Walker 3rd. Stefan Arsenal 4th. Nathan Doherty, your top 5. It looks like Travis Roma, Sean Pierce, Carter Wilson, the only 7 cars remaining on the lead lap. Everybody else in the field working at least 1 lap down, and more trouble could be coming for the number 24 machine as it is limping around the track. The leaders bearing down on him any moment now.
Yeah, definitely 2 wide still throughout the pack as we continue to work under what has been a hectic second portion of this race ever since cars started to go laps down, and only now 6 of them remain on the lead lap. Last car on the lead lap right now is the 44 machine of Sean Pierce. Travis Roma running in 5th. Stefan Arsenal in the 52 and 4th. Kevin Walker in the 35 and 3rd. Jake Goodwin, after leading the opening portion of this event, went a lap down. Joe has driven his way back up and now finds himself in 2nd. And he is on the back bumper of race leader Ricky Arbeau.
00 trying the bump and run. He's going to get shoved up the hill, and Martin Landry looks like he'll lose position number 10 to Brad Eddy and Ronnie McKay. Brad Eddy will now be position number 10 despite being 1 lap down, and those guys back on the hunt to try to get their positions back and get back in front of the pace car. Now, not when we're back in front of the leaders. Now, when they did pass the leaders earlier, they weren't able to keep on the lead lap, I should say, because it'll all look to come back down pit road to the attention of their crews. So that really opens the door for the 48 and 61 to do battle up front. 61 almost cutting off the nose of the 48 machine. Ricky Arbeau, Jake Goodwin, both incredible drivers. Neither one of them want to be denied.
Definitely, they're going to be going forward, and now the intensity is starting to pick up as Arbeau in P1 has taken the 50 to go this time by. He will take that rather as he works through 3 and 4. The 48 of Jake Goodwin is also known to be an aggressive driver, is knocking on the doorstep of the 61 of Arbeau for P1, giving him a little bit of a tap maybe on that left rear. Through one, I just don't think he really made contact, but got close enough to get the message through to Ricky Arbeau in the 61, letting him know that the 41 is here and ready to challenge for that lead.
3/4 of lap race left to go, just under 50 to go here at Irwindale Speedway in the inner circle. The 61, the 48 continuing to do battle. Let's go on board with Jake Goodwin right now. You see he's got the big heart for Chelsey on his hood, running the racing for Chelsey for 200 presented by the Weekly Press for Chelsey herself. You know, you got to give a lot of credit for Chelsey. I know she's not here at the track tonight, but she is a huge race fan in the Maritime. She's a regular at Scotia Speed World and Riverside Speedway. Her uncle, the Joker, Joey Livingston, races late model sportsman at both of those tracks. Good on her for continuing to lead a full life and good for these drivers running this race for her.
Definitely, and that's why it makes this race for such a good cause, because it's something that many of these drivers can relate to. You know, her being at the racetrack, being a familiar face out there, and some of these drivers know her, so wanted to do good for that cause. Meanwhile, the battle's going on up front. The 48 of Goodwin had the inside position, I think, in turn number 1. He peeked the nose up there trying to get that spot, and 61 of our bow gave it to him, I think, right when Goodwin pretty much thought that he wasn't going to do it, so couldn't really do anything with it that time through 1 and 2, so the 48's got to gather it back up now out of turn number 2, and now working into 3, up at a car length off the back bumper of our bow for P1. Jake Goodwin driving that thing hard, is going to get right up to the back bumper, look to the inside into 1, and can't get it this time around.
Looks like the 48 machine trying to do the bump and run on the 61. The 61 of our bow would have nothing of it, and if nothing, that's only going to give him a boost. He had a car length at most. Now they continue to run with half a car length between them. The 61, the 48, first and second. Kevin Walker, Travis Roma over a second away from these two drivers, and now it's Ricky Arbeau, Jake Goodwin putting on a show with 41 to go.
Laps continuing to wind down, so they're going to be going for it. Don't count out the 35 of Kevin Walker. He's about a second away from those guys up front. However, if they get tangled up going at this thing for the win, keeping on that 35 machine to capitalize and try to sneak through there in those closing laps as the laps continue to wind down. Just about 40 laps to go remaining on the board at 61 of our bow continuing to lead again. 48 of Goodwin has been putting up a strong effort after about 10 laps since we went back green. He has been there on the back bumper of the 61 machine, and he does real good coming out of 2. He gets to the bumper of the 61, and we've seen him about 2-3 times trying to get to the inside of our bow going into turn number 1, but he doesn't want to enter there, go on that flat area down by that yellow line, because we've seen drivers spin from getting down that low. It's just so treacherous. You see the 48 trying to get down as low as he can, but try to keep that car under control. Still about a car length, now half a car length in the middle of the quarter and off of turn number 4. Ricky Arbeau still maintains P1.
Ricky Arbeau holding on with time running out here at Irwindale Speedway. Ricky Arbeau holding on by a thread as Jake Goodwin kind of do business with him front, nose, and tail. Everybody else almost mathematically removed from this race. If anybody wants to challenge these two drivers, they need to get back on the lead lap and get back on the lead lap in a hurry. The only driver threatening to do that right now is a 98 of Stephen Matthews. He's technically position number 7, but he's only 6 cars away from the front, so I guess that would keep him in position number 7.
Trouble on the racetrack. The 6 machine is involved in it. The caution flag gonna fly, and we're gonna group them back up and have a shootout to the finish here. After trouble reaching the 6 machine of Nathan Doherty, he got into it with Sean Pierce in the 44. As you take a look at the replay, 44 tried to throw it into 3, and 6 did not know he was there and did not expect that machine to be in there, and came down to arc his normal corner entry, and they both went around, and I do believe the 6 machine of Dorothy made slight contact with the wall. So Nathan Doherty in the 6 machine, a little bit scraped up on the side, but no major damage.
And both those cars almost make a tandem spin. They almost spin at the same trajectory as each other. So the 6 and 44 doing a little bit of a, how would you say, synchronized spinning, if you will. And that is going to be good news for guys like Sean Pierce, like Stephen Matthews and Brad Eddy, who potentially could get their lap back this time by. If my math's correct, it should be Steve Matthews who will get the lucky dog, and he will be in the top 6. So now this race will be decided between 6 drivers. Ricky Arbeau, Jake Goodwin. No, Jake Goodwin will take away the lead. Ricky Arbeau coming off of the racing surface. He's going to get tires and get back at the back of this field. So it'll be Jake Goodwin who will take away the lead. Kevin Walker, Travis Roma, Stefan Arsenault, Ricky Arbeau. These 5 drivers all have a shot at walking away with the big win here in the Maritime iRacing League, Racing for Chelsey 200, presented by the Weekly Press.
Yeah, definitely. When we go back to the green flag, it's been a continuing discussion in this race that the cautions breed cautions. You know, we see maybe 2-3 in a group and then a little bit of a green flag run. Well, that was our green flag run. Now we're within 31 laps to go when Goodwin comes around this next time. It's going to be 30 to go left in this race. Now, the caution flags really go by quickly, but they still take up the same amount of laps as they would anywhere else, just because this track is so short at 1/3 of a mile in length. So I really think you gotta stay out up front if you're Jake Goodwin to try to protect that position. You know, you got Kevin Walker behind you now in the second position. He assumes that spot after he was running third, taking a look up at this battle as Ricky Arbeau relinquished that lead to allow Goodwin to get to that position. Lights, I do believe, are off on the Ford First Racing Mustang pace car. We are doubled up. If they do not delay the caution, it's going to be green here at Fuller.
Jake Goodwin, Kevin Walker, Travis Roma, Stefan Arsenal, Ricky Arbeau, each of these drivers have a shot at winning this race. Pace car gets out of the way. We're back to green flag racing and what could be our final restart of the race. Goodwin up front, Kevin Walker second, Travis Roma third, and here comes Ricky Arbeau in fourth. They're starting to stack up behind them, though, almost 3 wide as they continue to race hard for position number 7 back.
3 wide through 1 and 2, the 52, the 98, the 15, and now trouble.
Tim Terry on pit road, and it looks like he might be having some trouble out there. He might have caused some trouble out there. He's going to go down pit road in a very slow method. Meanwhile, yellow flag remains out. Green flag remains out, and we continue to run. It's going to be Jake Goodwin still up front. Ricky Arbeau now on his back bumper. Kevin Walker, Travis Roma, and it will be Stefan Arsenal, your top 5, though the top 4, the only 4 in contention to win this race currently.
Yeah, Tim Terry got into it with the 24 of Mark Williams coming out of turn number 4, and Terry was forced to at the racetrack. He just came down in through the pit lane. So, now trouble. 1 car is slow out of 4. That's the 98 machine nearly caught the 75 machine of Tim Terry as well. So 75 is having to dodge a lot of bullets up here. Meanwhile, Ricky Arbeau is all the way back up the second, and he's knocking on the doorstep of the 48 machine of Jake Goodwin, but with fresher tires.
So the 48, the 61 doing battle back and forth. That's Jake Goodwin, Ricky Arbeau, Kevin Walker, Travis Roma. These are the only 4 drivers right now in contention to take away this race for the win, or at least have a great podium finish. The 61 now making contact with the 48, gives him the bump, trying to get the 48 loose going through the turns.
Still going for it. The 61 of Arbeau is there. Takes a little bit more of an arc into the corner, gets to the left rear of Goodwin, not quite going to use that front fender just yet. In the 61 machine, the 35 is hanging tough too. Kevin Walker, 61 of Arbeau is going to throw it to the inside out of 4. Can't make it stick. Now going into 1, he's going to ride the back bumper of Jake Goodwin. Things going to heat up. Almost goes for the right rear now. Out of 2, looks to the inside, and 3 trying to find a way around for the lead. Now he's on the inside.
Dirt tracking at the 61 of Ricky Arbeau, trying to get around Jake Goodwin. They make contact over and over again, like a couple of heavyweights trading blows. The 61 machine forces the issue. He will pick up position number 1. Now here comes Kevin Walker behind. He wants position number 1. He wants it in a bad way. He is digging as hard as he can, but it will not be enough. Ricky Arbeau in front. Kevin Walker second. Jake Goodwin top 3.
Yeah, the 61 of Arbeau just kind of forced that 48 of Goodwin, just ran him up out of the groove and went on by and was not afraid to trade paint. It looked like he was kind of holding back from that, but he knows that the laps are winding down. We're within 20 to go, so he said it was time to get going, and I don't think anybody else really has a car for him at the moment unless the 61 up front of this field makes a mistake. You got to look at the 35 of Kevin Walker. He's too busy trying to hold off the 40 to Goodwin at this point in the race to try to really focus on nailing some laps and get up to Arbeau.
Ricky Arbeau now in square control of this race. 16 to go as they cross the start-finish line. Kevin Walker's second, Jake Goodwin third. It's going to be Travis Roma in fourth, but he is a time zone away. Stefan Arsenal, the last driver on the lead lap, but he is at least a couple of nations away from your leaders. So now Ricky Arbeau, Kevin Walker, Jake Goodwin. This race will be settled between these 3 drivers, and with time running out, it may be settled under the yellow flag.
Definitely, for sure, and that's another pressing issue that the 61 of Arbeau knew that he can't really count on waiting to the final 3 laps to get it done, because The caution flies within maybe 5-4 to go. This race is going to be done. So he's starting to run away with this thing now up front, opening up an 0.8 of a second lead over Kevin Walker in second. This time by the stripe. Scoring is going to update. It's going to be 0.9 of a second over Walker. Goodwin can't get around Walker for position number 2. Only 5 cars remain on the lead lap at this juncture in the race, coming down to the checkered flag. This time by 12 to go.
12 to go, and Ricky Arbeau has a stranglehold on this race, over a second away from Kevin Walker, 1.3 seconds away from Jake Goodwin. All he needs to do is keep this pace, and Ricky Arbeau will make it 2 for 2 live on LSRTV. Ricky Arbeau in front, 11 to go, continues to just keep moving on this track. Ricky Arbeau might have found the secret in the car late in the race. And now at 10 to go, Ricky Arbeau's just got to complete 10 more circuits, and he will win his second consecutive race in the Maritime iRacing League.
That's what he's going to be looking to do, obviously leading the points coming into tonight's race by 2 points over Jake Goodwin. Goodwin does not want to lose to Arbeau again, but Arbeau roughed him up for that spot, and Goodwin just does not have the speed. Arbeau, I was questioning the move coming down from the race lead to get those tires under the caution flag, and it's evidently paid off for him because he easily drove up from 5th to 2nd, got around what was race leader Jake Goodwin. Goodwin allowed Walker on by 2 as he tried to recover, and Arbeau just driving away with this thing now, 1.5 seconds in front of Kevin Walker as we're well inside 10 laps to go. The 61 just has to make it about 2-3 more circuits, and then it would be at the point in the race where a caution flag would end it. So it looks like it's going to be clear racing right now for the 61 up front.
Ricky Arbeau continuing to lead. Kevin Walker in the 35 machine holding off the 48 of Jake Goodwin. And it looks like a lot of car driving going on through the field. You see the 38 and the 03 machine side by side momentarily. Ronnie McKay leading to Travis Roma. Travis Roma is still on the lead lap, but not by a whole lot. As they cross start-finish line, it's 5 to go. Ricky Arbeau, does anybody have anything to answer to him, or will he be the 2-time winner here in the Maritime iRacing League?
I don't know, he just keeps running away with this thing now. 1.8 seconds, scoring an update once again, and it's going to be 2 seconds. So it's all Ricky Arbeau up at the front of the field at the 4th fastest machine in the practice session. Qualified 4th, was able to navigate those cautions and those pit stops just right to remain on the lead lap when it counted. Made an interesting call late in the going to get those tires, drove right back up to the field, went up to P1, and he now comes out of 4 to take 2 laps to go.
Obstacle sticks fly, 2 to go. Ricky Arbeau just has to complete the next 30 seconds of this race, and he will be your 2-time winner. Kevin Walker 2nd, Jake Goodwin 3rd, Travis Roma 4th, Stephen Arsenault your top 5. White flag flies no matter what happens unless the engine blows up in Ricky Arbeau's machine. He has made it 2 for 2. He goes through turns 1 and 2 flawlessly. All he has to do is cruise it through turns 3 and 4. And it is Ricky Arbeau, your winner in the Maritime iRacing League, racing for Chelsey 200, presented by the Weekly Press. Kevin Walker 2nd, Jake Goodwin 3rd, Travis Roma 4th, and Stephen Arsenault rounding out your top 5. What a crazy, entertaining race we saw here at Irwindale, and an earned win by Ricky Arbeau. He got a square hold of the points lead.
Yeah, definitely going to go 2 for 2 to start off the season as he burns it down on the front straightaway, obviously showing that excitement, and no better way to kick off the 2014.1 campaign with the MIRL Super Series than going back-to-back, and that means that he hasn't even given these guys a shot at trying to get past them at the points. So the 61 of Arbeau going to leave tonight with a bigger point lead than he did. It's going to be roughly 6 points, I do believe, over Jake Goodwin, as Goodwin finished runner-up to him in the season opener last week, and Jake Goodwin falls to 3rd after Arbeau had to kind of rough him up to get that number 1 spot, but evidently going to be your race winner.
We will talk to your top 3 finishers at Victory Lane when we return. It's Ricky Arbeau celebrating his 2nd consecutive win here in the Racing for Chelsey 200, presented by the Weekly Press on the part of the Maritime iRacing League. Stay tuned, race fans. The post-race show's next on LSR TV. And here it is, the setup for the pass that Ricky Arbeau was able to make on Jake Goodwin, take away the lead and ultimately the race here at the Racing for Chelsea 200, presented by the Weeklies in the Maritime iRacing League. Ricky Arbeau, your big winner tonight. Kevin Walker second, Jake Goodwin third, Travis Roma fourth, and it will be Stephen of the 98 machine finishing fifth as a result of the calls of the administrators here tonight. That puts Stefan Arsenault in sixth, Mike Alexander seventh, Brad Eddy eighth, Ronald McKay ninth, Doug Ubley 10th, and Todd Cousins in position number 11. Mark Williams finishes 12th, Martin Landry 13th, Nathan Doherty, Sean Pierce, Carter Wilson, your top 15. It'll be Tim Terry, George White, Mike Rhino, Jeff Gilmore, Scott Negus, Keith Mack, and Sean Waterfield rounding out your field tonight at Irwindale Speedway. Let's go ahead and take it down to victory lane, where Evan Pasoko has caught up with the two-time winner in the Winter Maritime iRacing League Series, Ricky Arbeau.
That's right, Ricky Arbeau is going to climb out of the 61 machine, and just like last week, victorious here with the MIRL Super Series in the 2014 Winter Campaign. Ricky, how does it feel to go back-to-back to kick off the season?
And it looks like we might have some microphone problems there. Let's see if we can try it one more time. Get the interns to fix the microphone down there on pit lane. Evan, let's try it one more time.
We're going to give it one more shot. Ricky Arbeau, this is Evan Pasoko with LSRTV. Got a copy?
Yeah, I sure do. Sorry, guys.
No problem. Climbing out of the car victorious for the second week in a row. I guess there's no better way to kick off the season than back-to-back victories.
Oh, that's great, man. I'm some pumped. You know, I was a little bit slower in practice with qualifying times and was a little bit back on the queue time. A little bit of a rule change kind of messed up my strategy, but it is what it is. It was a great rule change in my opinion, but that was a great night. Car was solid. I had a new spotter come on tonight, Mackenzie Brewer. He did a great job and kept me out of the few situations.
And definitely, when it came to making pit stops here, it was definitely chaotic trying to find out where you had to go. How did you kind of keep tabs on what was going on and were able to be one of the 5 or 6 cars when it's all said and done to remain on the lead lap?
The biggest thing is trying to keep up front. Track positions everywhere is there. Same with qualifying. You really need to qualify well, get one of the front boxes to actually beat the timing. I figured to be I think it was top 5 or 6 in pit boxes for pit road time for 2 tires and gas, and I ended up, I believe I qualified 4th. I don't even remember. That's kind of dumb, but I watched the relative, knew where the pace car was, and I just kept taking lefts and rights, lefts, rights, left, rights, just back and forth all night.
And then what was the call coming down there when we were within 50 to go and the caution flag flew and you gave up that number 1 spot, dropped back to 5th, but were able to drive right back up through those guys on that lead lap?
Yeah, the spotter and I, Mackenzie, we elaborated over that call. There was only 5 cars on the lead lap, so I knew I wasn't going to go back too far, and I was also going to get on the inside lane on the restart. So it would, at first I didn't think it was the best call, but after once we got going under green, you know, once the car felt great again. It came right back, and I knew all those guys were on old tires, and we got up through and caught Jake, and you know, I was a little hard on Jake, but he's a little slower, and I know I couldn't get it by him on the high side, so I gave him a couple nudges and whatnot, and he tried to keep it low, and I didn't want to have to wreck him, so I went down a little bit lower, and I probably should have to pass him, but I didn't want to take the guy out, and I just wanted to pass him clean. I knew I had a better car, and we got the checker.
Got to do what you got to do to get up there to the P1, especially when you were so much faster than all those guys, and then you pretty much set sail. So looking forward to the rest of the season. Again, you haven't even given these guys an opportunity to try to get ahead of you in points. You are going to be the points leader at it tonight and open up your distance over Jake Goodwin, who finished runner-up to you last week, and then obviously you got around him there in the closing laps to get that victory. Looking forward on the season, what kind of momentum does this give you, not only for next weekend's race, obviously, but in the season as a whole, knowing that you can get the victory lane and try to establish yourself as a contender for the title? Well,
we're going to keep positive. We know we got the good equipment. I can't say enough for everybody that helps me out with setups, my team. You know, I got Mackenzie on board tonight. I told him, I said, he ain't going nowhere, bud. You're coming back next week. So hopefully we'll keep him around spotting for us for a while, and we'll move on to next week, and I'm sure we'll do great.
And definitely 10-4, you want to throw the shout-outs to anybody you want to thank and any sponsors that make that 61 machine run good?
Oh, I definitely got to thank my sponsors, guys. They're ones that make all this possible for me. We'll start with Energy Hour Productions. That's Nick Story. Auto Essentials, Alan Munn. They're a great mechanic down Lincoln Road. I got to thank Buff and Stuff Floor Care, Arley Renovations, Eastside Board Supply. I also got to thank Mackenzie again for coming on board tonight and being a great eye in the sky. Oh, can't forget to I got to thank the fiance for letting me do this.
And definitely 10-4. Well, congratulations on making it back to back in this 2014 campaign, and good luck in these coming weeks.
Appreciate it, guys. Thank you, LSR. You guys put on a great show every week.
That's going to do it here from Victory Lane. Joe, I do believe you're caught up with our second place finisher, driver to 35, Kevin Walker.
Kevin Walker finishing second tonight after what was a strong run that put him in position to win. Kevin, you got to be very happy with second place considering everything that happened on track tonight.
Oh, yes, definitely. I just tried not to make any mistakes tonight. Because last week I made a mistake in the pits, and I just want to make sure I didn't make that mistake tonight. I just stuck with right side tires. 2 tire pit stops during the whole race and tried to keep the car clean and came home second.
We talked a lot about pit strategy and a lot about how vital tires would be in tonight's race. How vital were they for you? How vital were they for you and your team, and how important were they in your second place finish?
I was pretty happy. Just putting right side tires on it actually loosened up the car some. I think 4 tires would have been beneficial, but would have just put me a lap down in a small track like this. Ricky had fresher right side tires than me, so there's no way I would have been able to hold him back, and congrats to him on the win.
Walk us through your pass of the 48 of Jake Goodwin for what would ultimately be the second place win tonight. It all started with a 61 getting around the 48. At what point were you concerned that the 48 might get back around you, or was it all smooth sailing after the 61 instigated the pass?
I thought he had some car left, but when I was looking in the mirror, I figured he must have used up his tires trying to hold off the lead, and it seems like I was able to run off with the second place finish.
After tonight's race, you're unofficially in 6th in points, only 2 points away from being tied for 4th position, I should say. Going into next week, what's the strategy? What is the idea to and ultimately move up in the points and maybe look at getting yourself a trophy before it's all said and done?
Basically, don't make any mistakes. As long as I show up, qualify good, just try to keep car clean up front during the whole race, get a top 5 finish, I'll be pretty happy.
Kevin Walker, before I let you go, who makes it work for you and your team?
Just thank Childhood Cancer Canada Foundation. If anybody wants to donate, any iRacing member could go to my profile page, and the website is there. Or if anybody on Facebook, they can just find a website on my Facebook page.
That is Kevin Walker finishing second tonight in the number 35 Toyota Camry. Kevin, great run tonight. I'm sure we'll see you next week.
Thanks. Later.
That's Kevin Walker. Let's go ahead and take it back down to Evan Pasoko, who's caught up with your third place finisher, running Chelsey on the hood, Jake Goodwin.
And that's definitely Jake Goodwin in the 48 machine going to come home third. And first and foremost, Jake, third place in the Racing for Chelsey 200 presented by the Weekly Press. Talk about that hood real quick.
Yeah, I'm really happy to have Racing for Chelsey on the hood, and really wanted to get the win for the Racing for Chelsey 200, but I guess you can pass under the yellow line sometimes. I'm not sure how it works, but I was quicker than Ricky for a while, but I felt like I'd go below the yellow line there a bit. I'd try to back out of it because I was worried about a end of the longest line penalty or whatever the penalty was, but I'm happy with the finish.
And definitely talk us through that whole run there. You were leading when we came down to what would be the final restart, and you know that Arbeau had a fast machine, and he came down from the race lead to get some tires and restarted in 5th. when you were initially coming up back to the green flag and you were keeping tabs on those guys behind you, was he the only one that you were real worried about, or there was a lot of competition up there at the front of the field where you keep an eye on the 35 machine of Walker as well?
I was mainly watching Ricky because I knew he had the new tires, but Kevin's, I've seen him in the Sportsman series, and he's coming up quick. I knew he was really fast as well.
And definitely, you're going to come up runner-up last week and P3 tonight, so not quite victories, but a solid way to start off your season, and you should be hanging on to that second place and points that officially added tonight's race. So, I mean, what kind of momentum does it give you going into the next few weeks? Getting some solid finishes out of the way and trying to build up a rhythm for the season.
Oh, it's been going really good. I want to keep the good finishes up and keep Ricky in my sights and try to move on and get a win next week.
And definitely, before we let you go, who makes it happen for the 48 crew?
CBC Racing and racing for Chelsey on the hood there. I want to thank Pat Healy again for another great race sponsored, and thank the team for work on the setup.
And definitely 10-4, that is Jake Goodwin in the 48 machine. Another top 3 finish tonight. Jake, congrats on the finishing position and good luck next week.
Yeah, thanks.
And while we have a moment, let's go ahead and throw it to Tim Terry as we usually do after these races. And Tim, a lot on your mind tonight.
Yeah, Joe, it's we thought coming in, we never had any issues Monday with pit road. Obviously, there was some issues with the racetrack this evening with pit road and throwing some other stuff into there. JD Laird and Adam Gilliland, for the 5 laps that he was here, had his hands full this evening. We looked at everything at the end of the race. Pass for the win was legal. That's not changing. The only thing that is changing in the lineup is Steve Matthews should have been the free pass in the last caution. He was passed just as the caution flag was coming out. So Steve Matthews will finish 5th this evening. Everybody behind, he was scored in 11th. Everybody behind will receive 6th place points, 7th place on back. They'll lose 2 points essentially, so the points are unofficial as of right now. A lot of guys butt hurt tonight, and I want to remind them, if they continue to be butthurt, they will not be racing next week at Oxford. That's the politically correct way to say everything, Joe. Want to thank the Weekly Press for coming on board, Pat Healy, and racing with Chelsey. My effort was subpar. I got bounced around like a pinball spotter set on that long run to make sure you try to keep as many guys behind you. So I held my own in that inside line and got bounced around like a pinball, probably rightfully so. And then I got stuffed by the 24 on 20 laps to go. So we'll take our wounds and move on to next week. But up front, it looked like a great race. A lot of green flag running. Oxford had a lot of green flag running last season. We're going there at least once this season, so we'll look forward to another great race next week. And me and JD have some work to do coming up here in the next day or so. So keep watching next week. The fans got their fill this week, and I have a feeling they're going to get some more next week too.
Tim, tonight's race being run in honor of Chelsey. Let's talk about her real quick and what she really means to this maritime community.
Yeah, Chelsey and the whole family are great. If you're looking to donate some money, get a hold of either Pat Healy, myself. Angela's on Facebook. I'm sure she was watching this evening as well. Just a great cause and a hardworking family. And even though she is a Weeks Crushers fan, you kind of got to put that towards her too. So be sure to get a hold of either Angela, Pat Healy, myself. I'm sure you guys have documented all night long about Chelsey. So great cause and great to see all the hearts and Chelsey's name on all these cars this evening. And I'm sure it lifted her spirits a little bit, but I'm sure she would love to see that 75 car up front a little bit more. But we'll take our lumps and try to put her back up front next week.
Always one more week. Tim Terry will let you go to get to the business of doing business with the Maritime iRacing League. And that'll do it for us. Before I go, let's go back to our guest analyst, Pat Healy. Pat, tonight we saw exactly what we paid the price of admission for. Your final thoughts on tonight's race?
I didn't think that last pit stop was going to work for Ricky Arbeau, but he proved me wrong again, so kudos to him. It definitely was an interesting race, and with the intensity rising here, and now we're going to Oxford. Oh, fans, buckle in. It could be an interesting race next week.
Evan, your final thoughts.
Yeah, pretty much the same deal. I didn't think that the 61 was going to be able to get it done coming down there from the lead. I mean, you looked at the other 4 guys, they were running fairly strong laps and kind of questionable, thinking maybe you just want to stay out there. But again, he made it work, charged up through the front and kind of drove away with it at the end and won by 2.4 seconds. So a very aggressive race, a lot of beating and banging, a lot of 2-3 wide, and it was a good night overall.
Great night of racing. Be sure to join us next week when the Maritime iRacing League goes to Oxford Speedway for what will be a barn burner. 8 p.m. Atlantic, 7 p.m. Eastern. You won't want to miss it here on LSRTV. On behalf of our entire broadcast crew, my partner in crime, Evan Basoko, our guest analyst, Patrick Healy, executive producer, Laura Lawson, I am Joe Cortez. We will see you in 1 week's time when we go racing from Oxford Speedway with the Maritime iRacing League. Until then, good night, everybody.